A $500,000 torpedo going up against a $13 billion aircraft carrier. 30,000 American sailors sitting in the Persian Gulf with zero escape routes. And here's the kicker, Iran's got only a 10% chance of actually breaking through US defenses. So that's game over for Iran, right? Well, here's what most people are completely missing. Iran doesn't need to sink a single ship to win this thing. All they gotta do is turn the Gulf into a no-go zone for everybody. And they've got 6 nasty tactics to make that happen. Alright, let me paint you a picture real quick. 2 random cargo ships cruising past a US aircraft carrier, looking totally legit. Nothing out of the ordinary, just regular shipping traffic. Then out of nowhere, a shipping container pops open and a missile comes flying out. These are Iranian anti-ship missiles that were hiding in plain sight the whole time. Right behind them come swarms of drones and fast attack boats pouring out of those cargo holds. Oh, and there's mini submarines lurking below, ready to launch torpedoes all at once. So how does a country like Iran actually pull this off against the world's most powerful navy? It's called asymmetric warfare, and it changes everything. Let me break down all 6 tactics they'd throw at us. Number 1 is the swarm attack. Iran's got hundreds of tiny speedboats packed with machine guns, rockets, and missiles. Now a single one of these going after a US destroyer is basically a death wish. But when 50 of them rush you from every angle at once, that's a whole different story. The idea is to throw way more targets at the ship than its defenses can handle. Overwhelm the radar, overwhelm the guns, overwhelm the crew. It's not about one-on-one fights, it's about pure chaos. But here's where it gets really interesting. Those swarm boats are actually just the warm-up act. The real danger is something you won't even see coming. That brings us to tactic number 2, mining the Strait of Hormuz. 20% of the world's oil passes through this tiny choke point every single day. And Iran's sitting on thousands of naval mines, including smart ones that can listen for enemy ships. They drop these mines using subs, small boats, even civilian vessels that look totally normal. And they'd plant them right in the shipping lanes where oil tankers travel daily. This isn't just about hitting military targets though. This is straight up economic warfare. Block those shipping lanes and oil prices skyrocket overnight. The US and its allies start feeling serious economic pain without a single shot fired. Now let's talk geography for a second. Iran's coastline is basically a natural fortress. The third tactic turns the whole Persian Gulf into what military folks call a kill zone. Iran's coast is mountainous and rugged, which is perfect cover for mobile missile launchers. They use what's called shoot and scoot tactics. A truck fires off a ballistic missile, then vanishes before anyone can pinpoint the location. By the time satellites spot where the launch came from, the truck's already deep in a mountain tunnel. Good luck finding that thing again. This puts US ships under constant threat with literally nowhere to hide. Speaking of hiding, let's go underwater for a minute. The fourth tactic is the submarine ambush, and honestly this one's wild. Here's the thing about the Persian Gulf, it's actually pretty shallow water. That's a big problem for America's huge nuclear submarines. But it's perfect for Iran's small diesel-electric mini-subs like the Qatar class. These little guys can sit silently on the seafloor, waiting for a carrier to pass overhead. They're so small and quiet that sonar struggles to pick them up. They park themselves near choke points like the Strait of Hormuz and wait for the perfect shot. When the moment comes, they fire heavyweight torpedoes aimed at the hull and propulsion systems. One good hit could disable a carrier's flight deck and cripple its ability to project air power. These subs can also drop underwater mines, funneling US ships into preset ambush zones, where missiles and drones are already locked and loaded. Which brings us to tactic number 5, drone warfare. Iran has gone all in on becoming the drone superpower of the Middle East. And we're not talking about your typical surveillance drones here. These are loitering munitions, basically kamikaze drones designed to explode on impact. The play is to launch these things in massive waves. Their targets are the radar dishes and flight decks of US warships. Blind the sensors, shut down flight operations. And just like that, billion-dollar warships become sitting ducks for the missiles coming next. But here's what really keeps Pentagon planners up at night. The sixth tactic is going after the bases themselves. See, the US fleet doesn't operate on its own out there. It needs ports in Bahrain for refueling and air cover from bases in Qatar. Iran's got the biggest ballistic missile arsenal in the entire Middle East, and they know the exact coordinates of every American base in the region. Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar has around 8,000 American troops stationed there. It's basically the headquarters for US Central Command in the region. Iran could strike it with missiles like the Fateh 110, which has a 300-kilometer range, or the Qayyam one that can reach targets up to 800 kilometers away. These missiles can detonate just above the ground in what's called an air burst. That maximizes the shrapnel spread and makes the blast zone way bigger. We're talking 100 to 300 pounds per square inch of pressure, enough to wreck hardened shelters and fuel tanks. Then there's the naval base in Bahrain. Over 9,000 Americans stationed at the only permanent US naval base in the Middle East. This is where aircraft carriers pull into dock and where the Fifth Fleet is based. Iran's anti-ship cruise missiles from coastal batteries could hit warships right there in port. And let's not forget Iran's proxy forces in Yemen and Iraq. They could launch attacks from multiple directions to stretch US defenses even thinner. In Kuwait, Camp Arif Jan and Ali Al Salam Air Base have about 13,500 troops, every single one of them well within range of Iranian missiles. Now here's a twist that most people have no idea about. Iran actually took old Soviet missiles from the Cold War and completely re-engineered them. They converted SA-2 surface-to-air missiles into anti-ship weapons. These things fly at Mach 3.5, launched from just 45 kilometers out. A US destroyer barely has seconds to respond. The goal here isn't just physical damage, it's psychological. Disrupt the trade routes, make those waters feel completely unsafe. Iran's missile forces are spread across underground bunkers and mobile launchers all over the country. They're built to survive a first strike and fire back immediately. The targets would be runways, fuel depots, aircraft shelters, and command centers. Basically everything America needs to keep the fight going. So here's the bottom line. Iran cannot beat the United States in a straight-up conventional war, and they know that. But here's the real kicker. They don't actually need to win. They just need to make the cost absolutely unbearable. Damage one carrier, send oil prices through the roof, put 30,000 American lives at risk. And suddenly the whole equation changes. The question isn't whether Iran would use these tactics if things got real. The real question is, are we actually ready for what's coming?